Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. My name is Pam Polk and I'm the City Manager for the City of Collinsville. On behalf of our city, it is my privilege to welcome you on this beautiful afternoon to honor every patriot who has ever proudly worn the uniform of the United States of America. Before we begin our formal remarks, please stand and welcome members of the District 5 Honor Guard to present the colors.
Don't worry, you're where we need.
Please remain standing for the performance of the national anthem by our very own Miss Collinsville 2016 Haley Rates.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We will now have the invocation by retired Air Force veteran Kevin Cottle.
Will you please remove your cover? Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to gather here today to celebrate the opening of the new Veterans Building. I pray that it will help bring the veterans and the local community closer together. And thank you to all those that made it possible. And Father, to all the veterans that answered her nation's call to proudly serve during peacetime and time of war, to help make this country the greatest nation on earth. I proudly stand here today with my brothers and sisters in arms. I pray, dear Father, that you be with the families of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice while defending our freedoms and the freedoms of others, and the families of those that are listed as POW, MIA. May they know that their loved ones will never, ever be forgotten. I pray that on this Veterans Day we can put aside all of our differences and unite together as one. With all these things we ask in your precious holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Haley, for that beautiful rendition of our anthem, and to District 5 Honor Guard for being a part of the ceremony today. Please remain standing until the colors are in their final place. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stan Salee, Director of Economic Development for the City of Collinsville. It's an honor to be here today and have a small part in the rededication of the Collinsville Veterans Building. I'm speaking today as a representative of the Colonel Saul H. Bayouth family. My grandfather, Mr. Bayouth, a Lebanese immigrant, came to America in 1906, where he made Collinsville his home. A successful business owner, civic leader, and father of 11 children. He loved America, and when World War II broke out, Saul made sure his 5 sons were the first to enlist. His hard work as finance chairman of the Veterans Building and generosity of the community paid off. In 1946, 70 years ago, Collinsville dedicated a new home for the troops of World War II and the citizens of Collinsville. The veterans of Foreign War, Joe Keith, Post 3077, and the American Legion, John Daniels, Post 2. This building has been the home not only for our veterans, but to thousands of citizens that have partaken in dances, reunions, county fairs, pancake breakfasts, civic organizations, and many other community events through the past 7 decades. In 2011, due to the disrepair and lack of building funds, an agreement was reached between the City of Collinsville and the American Legion. This building was gifted to the city with the understanding that it would preserve the building for the community. This year's investment from Tulsa County Vision 2025 funds provided us with the means to renovate. It has been my honor to have participated in this project, and I want to thank Mayor York, the City Commission, the City Manager, and their support and vision. I know my grandfather and countless community leaders and citizens of the past would be extremely proud that you have left the legacy of this building better than you received it. They would also be elated with the commitment to memorialize our veterans. God bless our veterans and God bless our country. Thank you.
All across the nation, small towns are gathering today around the flagpole and on main streets, just like we are here today. Many special guests have joined us today to celebrate our veterans and the revitalization of the building, honoring his or her service to our country. In addition to our distinguished elected officials here today, that I would like to recognize as well are our city commissioners, Mr. Brad Francis, Ms. Melody Bateman, Mr. Larry Schaefer, Mr. Gerald Garrett, and of course, Mayor Bud York, whom you'll hear from in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, U.S. Representative Jim Bridenstine was not able to join us today, but thank you to Brian O'Hara for being here and representing his office. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, the Honorable James Langford. After serving 4 years in the U.S. House of Representatives, he was elected to the U.S. Senate on November the 4th, 2014, and was overwhelmingly reelected to the office on Super Tuesday. As chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Regulatory Affairs and Federal Management, Senator Langford advocates for a more restrained federal government. His personal faith is evident in all of his guiding principles and through his previous leadership as director of student ministry at the Baptist Convention of Oklahoma and director of the Falls Creek Youth Camp, the largest of its kind and hosting 51,000 campers every year. Additionally, local decision-making and opportunity for every person, regardless of their background, are the core values for Senator Langford. He is joined today by his wife, Cindy. Please help me welcome and congratulate the Honorable James Langford of the United States Senate.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is an incredible November the 11th to be able to be outside and not be freezing. So glad to be able to be a part of this. Let me just remind us of a little bit of history and the perspective. At the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington, not yet our first president, was having conversations about what do we do with the military. We won the Revolutionary War. What do we need? What happens now as a nation? And in 1783, he wrote a long series of opinions, sent them off to the new young Congress and anyone else who would read it about what he suggested in the future and how we should handle our military affairs. In that document in 1783, he said that while men of this description, describing the people who would serve, shall be viewed as the van and flower of the American forces. You ever think a president would refer to some of the military folks as the flower? It's a nice term, isn't it? Be viewed as the van and the flower of the American forces, ever ready for action and zealous to be employed whenever it may become necessary in the service of their country. They should meet with such exemptions, privileges, or distinctions as might tend to keep alive a true military pride, a nice sense of honor, a patriotic regard for the public. Then he added this: such sentiments indeed ought to be instilled into our youth with their earliest years, to be cherished and included as frequently and as forcibly as possible. We still gather regularly to be able to pass on to the youth of the next generation what the previous generation has done, as he said, with a sense of pride and of honor and patriotic duty. It's been 15 years since 9/11. It's been 71 years since the past World War II. It's been 63 years since Korea, 41 years past Vietnam, 25 years past the first Gulf War. We have many people around us that have served with incredible distinction and with great honor. To those individuals that are here and those individuals that are still yet to come, our nation can't say thank you enough and often enough. But it is a moment for us to stop with pride, with honor, with patriotic duty, to be able to express our gratitude again. We are a people of peace, and those in our military aren't people that are desirous of war. They're the protectors and keepers of that peace. And they're individuals that are more passionate about peace than anyone else because they understand the cost. But I would tell you as well, for the veterans that have served as your home, you have not only memorized more acronyms than anyone humanly should ever have to memorize, you've learned more terms and you've driven the biggest vehicles on the planet, but you've also distinguished yourself as a leader for the nation. Can I ask you for one more thing in leadership? Our nation still needs you. And the things that we face today and what's happening in our culture, we're in desperate need for a generation that has led the nation before to lead us again. Our families are collapsing. We're in need of people that can step up and still lead in honoring families. We have a moral collapse happening in our country. We need your morals and your values to be represented to a new young generation. The young generation is forgetting the work ethic that you created. And they need people to be able to set the example for them in work ethic again. And finally, in integrity and in honor. To be able to pass on to a new generation a passion for doing what's right at the right time the right way. We're still in need of your leadership. And we're grateful that you're around and still speaking out on the issues that are so incredibly important to us. May I remind us of a simple passage coming from Romans chapter 12. I think it's a reminder for people of peace that are our leaders in the United States military. Paul wrote to the church in Rome, he said, "Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, and I will repay,' says the Lord. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. But do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. We're the best prepared, best trained, most moral fighting force in the world. We have overcome a lot of evil with good. And I can't say often enough, thank you for your example. Thank you for what you have done. And for this community that has literally brought back a building that everyone thought was gone, to bring it back to this condition is a good example of the reminder of how this community sees those who have laid their life on the line to be able to protect the peace for our nation. God bless you and thank you for doing what is good in the face of evil.
Thank you, Senator Langford, for your leadership on behalf of the state of Oklahoma. Your presence and participation in today's ceremony to honor our veterans is deeply appreciated. Congratulations again on your victory this week, and we look forward to your many accomplishments in the coming years. Now, please help me welcome the Honorable J.J. Dossett, the lifelong resident of our District 34, where he was formerly a high school teacher and coach prior to being elected to the Oklahoma Senate earlier this year. Senator Dossett's participation today is twofold, not only honoring our veterans as an elected representative, but also as a current enlisted service member. Senator Dossett is a technical sergeant in Oklahoma's Air National Guard and has completed 2 active duty deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. Please help me welcome the Honorable J.J. Dossett.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Pam, for inviting me. I really appreciate being here. It's a monumentous occasion. This building and these statues that we haven't seen yet, it really is saying something about Collinsville. Collinsville is the heartbeat of northern Tulsa County here, and you guys show it on a regular basis and right here today. Being a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, it's not always easy on Veterans Day, to take a lot of credit for yourself. Most veterans, I think I can speak for a lot of you, we don't see ourselves as needing a lot of honor. We feel like we stepped up, we did what was required of us for our country, and it's the group in general that really must be honored. And I think that's what you guys are doing here today, and it's a wonderful thing. 98 years ago today was the armistice, the 11th hour, the 11th month of the 11th day of the 11th month, which was going to be the end of the war to end all wars. And as we've noticed since then, that wasn't the war to end all wars. 1954, I believe it was changed to Veterans Day to honor all veterans. But I couldn't agree more with Senator Langford. A lot of his sentiment is we are going to constantly need the next generation to step up. In 1918, we thought that was going to be the end. We finally have settled these wars that have all this needless slaughter of human life, but it's just not true. So what we do on the 11th day of the 11th month every year is we honor our troops who have sacrificed. And in doing that, we secure our future. Because it's events like this. I grew up in Owasso, but this whole area of North Tulsa County that I represent, I couldn't be prouder of on behalf of our armed forces, because we send kids to serve. And the reason we do that is because they see the value in service. your community, all of you here today, appreciate service of those who serve and live and die for our country. We see that our country is something we need to protect, we need to defend. And if we're going to keep our morals and keep our way of life, then we have to defend it from enemies foreign and abroad. So these kids here today, I can't help but look at them and see they see the value right now of what it means to serve in our country, and they'll do the same thing I did. There was no question what I was going to do when I turned 18. I don't know if it was John Wayne or ceremonies like this or whatever it was, but I decided the most honorable thing I can do for my community, my state, my country is join the armed services. So I think the example we're setting today in this community, and all of you here today, I think that we're setting that example, and in the future, I don't think we'll have a problem defending our values right here in North Coastal County. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you letting me be a part of this event. God bless America.
Thank you, Senator Dawson, for both your calling to serve our district, but also for your duty and sacrifice on behalf of the United States. We are very proud of your service. We are very fortunate to have with us today another distinguished leader of our District 11, the Honorable Earl Sears. Previously, Representative Sears served our region in education for more than 32 years. Elected in 2007 to the Oklahoma House of Representatives, he serves the very difficult position as the Chair of Appropriations and Budget Committee. Please help me welcome the Honorable Earl Sears.
First of all, I want to say a lot of thank yous, and the one I want to do right now first is please, all of us, let's give the honor guard that did the flag ceremony, but I also know that they're there at our veterans when they passed at heaven. They're always there with the coffin. Let's give a nice round of applause to all of our honor guard. They do a phenomenal job. I want to say thank you to all these good people that are here today. Senator, you're so kind to be here in Collinsville, Oklahoma. I mean, you could be all over the state, but you've chose to be here in Collinsville. We greatly appreciate that. And you do, and you have continued to do a phenomenal job. All of you. And Stan and City Manager Pam and Mayor, thank you for calling me one day this summer. Stan says, Earl, you got to come down here. I want to show you something. And I came down here, and then they showed me the vision of what they were trying to do. And I've been with them ever since. It's just great for Collinsville. In fact, as your state representative, I love telling people one thing about Collinsville. Even though I live in Bartlesville, I love coming down here. But one thing about Collinsville, you're constantly reinventing yourself or doing something to your community, to the area, to say not only we are alive and well, but this is a phenomenal community. And here we are today. You have this great building behind you. We're getting ready to unveil these statues and this beautiful landscaping that we have here to represent those that have served this great nation, which leads to the last thank you that I want to make and really zero in on the veteran. Thank you, veterans. Thank you. Even though these distinguished people up here and these bios, and I have served as your state representative, it will never equal the service that you gave to our nation. In wartime and in peacetime, thank you for answering the call to serve this great nation. And what joy you have today when this is all unveiled. We need to thank you more and more and more, but in Collinsville, Oklahoma, across this great nation today, they're observing Veterans Day. But here in Collinsville, Oklahoma, every time you drive down this road, all of you veterans, male and female, will be able to look over here and see this plaza, what this community, what the group of people, your community, wanted to say thank you for your service and what you've done for this great nation. I couldn't be any more prouder of each and every one of you. And again, thank you for being here today. Thank you for inviting me. And God bless each and every one of you veterans in front of us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sears. Like Senator Dawson, we appreciate your leadership of our district at the state capitol. It seems that Senator Langford, Senator Dawson, and Representative Sears have proven that if you work with children every day, that you can certainly work in politics. Here with us today, representing the office of Chief John Baker, is the Honorable Buell Anglin, a distinguished member of the Council of the Cherokee Nation for more than 12 years. A lifelong resident of the Sperry and Skiatook area, Councilman Anglin is a business owner and is an active member of the American Legion Post 131. It is a great honor to have the Cherokee Nation represented today by Councilman Anglin, as he is also a veteran of the Army National Guard, where he served 7 years as part of the medical unit. Please help me welcome the Honorable Buell Anglin.
Thank you, Pam. All these gentlemen have said it all. You know, you can't say it any better than what they said. But I want to welcome all you veterans here, all of our friends, family. Collinsville has been pretty near and dear to my heart for several years now. This is in my district over here that I represent, and been represented, like Pam said, for several years now. But my grandpa grew up here in Collinsville. He's buried out here at the local cemetery, and I've always been very proud of. And but also, I'd like to introduce my daughter, Peggy Hardy, back here. If you'll just wave, Peggy, where you're at. Peggy follows me around everywhere and keeps me lined out, keeps me moving in the right direction all the time. So, but the Honor Guard, I really appreciate you, appreciate everybody that made it out on this day. And but opening the bridge behind you over here on Broadway Street was my first big deal over here, and so I've tried to just continue helping Collinsville all I can, and that's what we do as the Cherokee Nation. And I'm glad to see so many Cherokee citizens here today. I really appreciate you showing up, and our city attorney here, he's a Cherokee, so proud of him. But at this time, I guess, Pam, if you and the mayor would come up, I'd like to continue our tradition of what we normally do. And I'd like to donate $15,000 to the city of Collinsville for this building, for this facility, and the statues and stuff like that, so everybody can enjoy for years and years to come. I used to show up at dances over here on Saturday nights in the 60s, so this building means a lot to me. So they was Teen Town back then, but we had a ball here. So anyway, we just want to keep it going, and I really appreciate all these leaders here in town. So at this, and thank you, folks, for coming out today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful surprise. Councilman Anglin, your duty to the United States and your service to the people of the Cherokee Nation are remarkable accomplishments. Thank you very much for being with us today and for supporting our tribute to the veterans. It's with great pleasure to introduce another great leader of our area, with which today would not have been possible without his support. A graduate of Owasso High School, the Honorable John Smoligo served for 6 years in the Oklahoma House of Representatives during his leadership to local service. He was elected to the office of Tulsa County Commissioner in 2006 to represent the interests of District 1 and was re-elected to the office in 2010. Here to share more insight regarding the support of Vision 2025 in today's revitalization of the Collinsville Veterans Building, please welcome Tulsa County Commissioner John Smoligo.
Thank you, Pam. I can tell you that when things first got kicked off, I thought, well, I definitely don't want to follow Senator Lankford after the speech he gave, but I think I ended up drawing the short straw, having to go behind Buell, who brought $15,000 with him. So I tell you what, it's a tough road to follow here with these guys. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be here on behalf of Tulsa County here on Veterans Day, and I do want to start out by thanking all of you veterans who have served our country. In fact, I get the opportunity today to be a little bit biased and thank my favorite veteran, my father, who's here as well, here on the front row. Dad, thank you for your service. My grandfather and my uncle all served in the Navy. You can imagine how disappointed they were when I decided to get into politics instead. But I do appreciate it, Dad. Thank you to you and all of your peers who have served our country in the armed forces. It's also has, for certainly all of my life, has been an extra special day, not just for Veterans Day, but today actually is my father's birthday. So I also get to say thank you. Happy birthday, Dad. You know, it's been mentioned that that this community built this building back in 1946. The residents here, and I was talking with Mrs. Gillespie here, who's ironically was sitting next to my dad. She wanted me to make sure that I mentioned that it was built by this community, and it's a real honor to have been a very small part in working with all of you who have rebuilt this building. It is a tribute to those who have come before us and built our communities, not just here in Collinsville, but throughout Tulsa County and across the United States of America. And what you've done here is to look back to your ancestors, to the founders of this community, and say, we're going to reinvest in our community in a facility that is going to serve us for a little while, but it's going to serve generations beyond us, the people we may never know. And so politicians don't get credit for this because it was built by you. You all did that. And people like Mrs. Gillespie, who for 40 years has taken care of this building, tried to maintain it, we owe her a debt of gratitude. And all of those people who have worked alongside of her, we really appreciate it. She's pointing out several of them and trying to deflect a little credit, I guess. But on behalf of your community, we want to say thank you to you and all of those that you've worked alongside to maintain this building over the years. It's wonderful to be a part of a patriotic community like Collinsville, who recognizes the service and sacrifice of our veterans. I just appreciate the opportunity to be here today to say thank you as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Smoligo. And please share our gratitude with Commissioners Peters and Keith for the capital investment in our project today. Thank you for your leadership and support. And finally, we will hear from our last, but certainly not our least, special guest today. Since 2008, the Honorable Bud York has served as member of the City of Collinsville Commission, and for the last 2 years as our mayor. During his tenure, the city has experienced unprecedented growth in population and a reinvestment by citizens through the largest school bond in our history and the renewal of vision for capital infrastructure improvements. As a lifelong fifth-generation resident of the city of Collinsville, Mayor York has witnessed remarkable changes, but has also answered the call of duty like so many others. Mayor York served 6 years in the U.S. Army Military Police Corps during the Beirut, Lebanon, and Grenada conflicts. Today is a tribute to him and our veterans in the audience today as we share our gratitude for what they have done for us, but also serves as a reminder as the citizens and a city of our duty to them. Please welcome the Mayor of the City of Collinsville, the Honorable Bud York.
Now, y'all saw that I gave her that check, so I'm no longer responsible for that. Welcome and good afternoon. Isn't it a wonderful day in the city of Collinsville? I'm so glad to see all of you here today. I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about a couple of things. One, veterans, two, luck, and how fortunate we all are to get to be here together to share in this occasion. Number one, we're lucky old Doc Collins set up his post office here in Collinsville in June of 1898. And we're lucky then that the following year, the city of Collinsville was incorporated in 8 years before Oklahoma statehood. So Collinsville's been here a long time, and it's gonna be here a long time. And what you're looking at here behind me is the spirit of Collinsville, and it's just one of the many amazing things that you see when the community comes together to get something done. And so we're really lucky that years later, a bunch of old veterans were sitting around and said, "Hey, let's build a building." And they brought that idea to fruition with the help of a generous community. And one of those guys, most instrumental, was in the Salt Bay Youth. I know several of his family are here today, and we thank him and we thank you. Now, this special day, near 70 years after the building's original dedication, I think it's important we reflect on our veterans. We can begin that reflection by mentioning the Code of Conduct of the United States Armed Forces. The first 27 words of the Code of Conduct are these: I am an American, fighting in the forces which guard my country and our way of life. I'm prepared to give my life in their defense. These are strong words indeed. And as I think about their meaning, I'm reminded of some remarks our 40th president, Ronald Reagan, made one time. I'm paraphrasing him now, but he said essentially this: some people can live an entire lifetime and wonder if they ever made a difference in the world. Veterans don't have that trouble. So I knew this was going to happen. But at least it didn't blow away. I still have it. So certainly we're lucky to have men and women who will stand up and defend us. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Lebanon, Grenada, Panama, Gulf War, Cold War, global war on terrorism. In all of these and others, our armed forces have been there to protect us. One group of these I want to recognize in particular: our Vietnam vets. They return to no parades and no fanfare. Many of them went to reside in the shadows. We know their deeds were noble, but they were not properly recognized. We also know that the sun rises out of the darkness, and so I think it's time that they have the light of our thanks shine on them as we simply say thank you. Welcome home. Now, I want to thank all involved in the rescue of this magnificent building and its heritage. Among them, Stan Salee and Marie Gillespie. I don't think we would have accomplished this project had it not been for their vision, getting the ball rolling. I thank the city staff for their efforts, especially City Manager Pam Polk, whose support has been invaluable. I want to thank my Board of Commissioners, whose forward-thinking confidence in this project have made this day possible. I thank and recognize all veterans, past, present, and future. And I thank all of you gathered here on this day, in this place, at this hour, for this is a day I surely will never forget. Because I'm lucky indeed, as I get to exercise my good fortune as your mayor and present to you, with the help of our distinguished guest, your Veterans Memorial, and I rededicate this Veterans Building to the city of Collinsville in the wonderful spirit of its original inception. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you very much.
And now for the final event for today, I would ask our speakers to please assemble for the unveiling of our memorials. Please allow a little bit of time for the members of the media to follow. Please turn your attention to the unveiling of the seals of the 5 branches of the military. United States Air Force. United States Army. United States Coast Guard. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. And now for the unveiling of what signifies the Marines Cross. Commissioner and veteran Brad Francis and Counselor Anglin will unveil the Marines Cross. And now if you will direct your attention to Mayor York and Senator Langford as they unveil the statue of the Marine servicemen. As they unveil the statue of the Marine servicemen as the District 5 Honor Guard performs the traditional gun salute. We are also fortunate to have bugles across America with us today to recognize the service of the many soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. We are also fortunate to have bugles across America with us today to recognize the service of the many soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
Veterans, if you would please come to attention.
our service today. Thank you all for being here. It's been a momentous occasion. Thank you for our veterans. We appreciate you all. We love you, and this is for you, and we hope you all love it as much as we do. Please stay around and look at all the statues, and just thank you for being here.
Daddy.